Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of Taryn Swears. And I feel like it's been an eternity, probably because it's been since July. It is August 22nd that I'm recording this. I knew and I forewarned you guys that the summer I was going to be limited on time and availability to produce quality podcasts. And I want to make sure that anything that I am going to put out there, it's going to be something you're going to be interested in, that's going to bring value and might be a little entertaining. And ironically, today's topic is coming to you at the end of the summer. Probably would have been relevant at the beginning of the summer, but in the grand scheme of things, this is probably a topic that is going to serve or hopefully be useful to you really any time of the year, depending on your lifestyle. And so today we are going to talk about tracking alcohol macros. You're like, yes. Did I just hear this like sigh that just went throughout the entire interwebs? I'm not giving you permission with alcohol. That's not at all. And I'm also not saying that alcohol should be off limits if you have any physical goals. But it's something that is probably one of the top things that get in the way of people getting any sort of physical results. They desire that and sugar, and other things, obviously. But this is a really popular topic. I know a lot of people enjoy it socially, and it's just a part of life. And we're going to embrace that. So I wanted to talk specifically about how to track alcohol macros today. And a fun fact, you guys hear me talk probably until I'm blue in the face about macronutrients. So our core macronutrients, there's three of them. That's protein, fats, and carbohydrates. And technically, yes, technically, there is a fourth macronutrient, and that is alcohol. However, unlike the protein, fats, and carbohydrates that are energy inducing and serve a actual functional need in our bodies, alcohol does not, but it is technically a macronutrient. So just kind of, give you guys a little perspective on and a reminder if you aren't privy to it. But carbohydrates and proteins, they have 9 calories per gram, whereas fats have 4 calories per gram. And then alcohol has 7 calories per gram. So what that means, if you are kind of running math through your head, anytime you look at a food and you want to kind of calculate where you're at calorically, you can take those numbers, 9 again for proteins and carbohydrates, 4 for fats, and 7 for alcohol, and multiply that by the grams of consumption. Now, this only works if you are measuring something out, have a food scale of some sort instead of eyeballing it, right? So it doesn't necessarily convert accurately to ounces. So if you have a food scale, you've got the measurement grams on it, use it. And everything on nutrition package does come with its measurement in grams. Some have cups, some have ounces, obviously smaller measurements, teaspoons, tablespoons, that sort of thing. So just a little bit of kind of mathematical education for you, because I know you guys were like, okay, I'm ready to take notes. Anyway, so I'm going to approach this from a couple different angles. So I'd be a fool to say that, you can't get results without with drinking alcohol. You absolutely can. But you can also get better results because it affects so many different elements in your lifestyle without alcohol. So I'm going to take it from really two angles, maybe really three, right? So, it goes without saying, if you have physical goals that are really, really important to you, maybe you are, still carrying around an extra 30, 40, 50 pounds. You get interrupted sleep, and it's not necessarily because of a child. Maybe you have a problem falling asleep. Maybe you have trouble staying asleep. You wake up often through the night, whether it's to go to the bathroom or 2 o'clock in the morning, you just automatically wake up. And it seems to be something that is just cycling night after night. And it obviously will come down to some of your lifestyle choices, and that of if you consume alcohol, then that's going to obviously make an impact on your sleep. So a lot of us decide, hey, I'm going to have a cocktail at the end of the night because it helps me wind down from a busy, stressful day. And I really hate this, I honestly do, like the mom groups that are like, oh, I have to have wine to get through the day from being around my kids. Like, I hate that. I subscribed to it for like a hot second, like early on in my motherhood, but I think it is such a shitty excuse. And I think it is really inappropriate as a mother and very immature that we have to say we have to enjoy wine to get away from the kids or to tolerate the kids. So I want to encourage you to dismiss that if that is something in your routine or your reputation is that's lame. Like, hello, let's grow up. And, you can use alcohol for the social piece because you enjoy it. It brings a feeling to you, but not as a thing to mask your choices with being a parent or the need to kind of escape from anything, right? Or to tolerate anything, because that's just not the relationship you should have with alcohol. And if you do, then that might be kind of an indication that it's worth removing it entirely, sorting out and really getting grounded with whatever issues you might have as a result of it or why you need it as a crutch. I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a therapist, none of that, but I'm a human being and I recognize when alcohol can be more of a crutch and be more damaging to your body and your lifestyle, and also just your kind of emotional needs, because it can, bring you down. And it's not necessarily, especially if you've got physical goals. And everybody admittedly feels amazing when they don't drink alcohol. I don't think I've met one person that regrets not drinking, right? And I've gone through my stint, 6 months, did 75 hard and decided to keep it out of my system for 6 months. And I'm like, you know what? I don't think I'm ever going back. And then, I had a cocktail and I was like, you know what? I actually enjoy it, right? So for me, maybe one day I'll never, but I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't affect my family life, my bank account, my ability to show up and get up in the morning, my sleep great. So I have a very good management of it. But I also know when it's important, when it's, something that's not worth it, and I can take it or leave it. So that's me. And I hope that's how you have the relationship with it, if you have one at all. So there's no judgment. If you don't have a lick of alcohol and you've never have, awesome. If you have it socially, great. If you drink it every night, 1 or 2 a night, and it doesn't affect your lifestyle and it's not affecting your body composition or your hormones or your sleep, your lifestyle, great. Let's talk about it. Let's figure out a solution and really kind of get into the thick of how you can truly track your macros while consuming alcohol, or when maybe to kind of dismiss it altogether. So in the grand scheme of things, let's take it into perspective of, I'll start kind of at the base. If you've got goals, but that they can still be achieved with managing your alcohol, awesome. Let's take into consideration the consumption, okay? And the choices that you make when you get there. So I'm going to take this 2 ways, okay? The first one being, maybe you are going to say, hey, you know what? I really want to focus on tracking everything, and that's going to be including my alcohol. I'm going to budget for it. Awesome, okay? So this is for those that are going to budget for their alcohol because they want to track it in with their macros, everything, kind of type A person, right? Because, there's type A, and then there's those that aren't necessarily don't care about every minor detail, but still can see considerable results, right? So that's choosing, if you're a beer drinker, you're going for the lower carb, lower calorie beers, which probably means shittier taste, but that's my opinion. Also, those seltzers that are low carb, lower calories, those are options as well, and hard alcohol. So, having clear hard alcohol that might be mixed with a clear, no calorie mixer. So for that, it might be like club soda and lime, right? If you have vodka or tequila and a club soda, then you're working with a very low caloric hard drink. Otherwise, you've got the calories that you'll take into consideration and also the alcohol sugars in those seltzers. So they have that, taste to them that we kind of enjoy when we're on a boat, at barbecues, but those alcohol sugars can also make an impact. So take that into consideration. However, we're just talking about calories and macros in this regard. So take that for what it is. So if you're going to track your alcohol, you need to go research, if you're going to drink a hard liquor, how many calories are going to be in the measurable amount you're going to consume. So if you are truly going to consume 1 serving of vodka, that is 4-ounce shot, right? Like, do you measure your shots when I'm making myself a cocktail? I honestly don't. but I don't necessarily fit in this category right now in this season of my life. So, however, if you're going to consume, say you're budgeting, let's say 2 or 3 beers, and they're at 100, 125 calories each, right? So you're going to take, let's say you have two, they're at 125 calories. There's 250 calories that you're going to consume in alcohol. So where do those come from? Because yes, those are 250 calories that you're consuming. Sorry, 250. 125 and 125. Yeah, 250. Okay, back to it. Math. I need to sharpen up on my short math skills. 250 calories has to come from somewhere, right? So when we're tracking alcohol, we don't take it from our protein. So you guys have probably heard like, oh, you just take it from your calories, but your calories are made up again of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. So if you are consuming a macro-based diet, your protein has to be a priority, and you never want to rob anything from that. Chances are you won't manipulate your protein much depending on what your body composition goals. Obviously, your protein amounts will change and adjust as you lose weight if you have an extensive amount of weight to lose, or if you're looking to bulk, you might be adding more protein, but we never manipulate that for alcohol. So your protein will be what it is. And if you do decide to consume alcohol, I wholeheartedly encourage you focus on your protein. Don't even consider drinking if you're not going to get your protein in. Your protein is the building block for lean muscle, and it's also satiating, right? So we need protein in order to have energy through the day, in order to allow our body to do its work to build and produce that lean muscle, and also eventually get into fat burning, right? Which does come with a complement of carbohydrates and fats. And side note, can also be inhibited when alcohol is consumed. Okay, so side note, when you do consume alcohol, that your body's primary goal is to metabolize alcohol first. And so if it's constantly in a state of metabolizing alcohol, which, they say can take quite some time, like you don't just burn alcohol, when you stop drinking and you wake up in the morning, like it's not out of your system, right? Depending on how much you've had, of course. And also there's a lot of studies and reports that say it could take a full week or 2 weeks to truly metabolize all of the alcohol out of your system. So take that for what it is, for what you need. But if you are consuming a large number and you're consuming every single day, your body might truly only getting to metabolizing the alcohol and not getting into metabolizing body or burning body fat, because it isn't able to truly generate enough energy to get there because it's spending all of its time metabolizing alcohol. Okay, so take that, put it in your back pocket. Okay, so back to the calories. You've got 250 calories of alcohol. You are consuming your protein, boom, nailed it. You already have that down pat, that's dialed in. And then your carbs and fats might swing a little bit depending on if you bank for drinking. And I encourage you to really plan accordingly if you want to fine tune your body composition and take alcohol into consideration, because the 250 calories has to come out of either your carbohydrates, right? Or it has to come out of your proteins, or your fats. So it's coming out of your carbohydrates or your fats, and or it can be out of a combination of that. Okay, so just in simplistic terms, if you took one drink, we'll just keep it simple, one drink and it has 100 calories, you can track that as 25 grams of carbs, 11 grams of fats, or you can do kind of a combo, like 13 grams of carbs and 6 grams of fat. So what you do is you would take that number out of your macronutrients. So if you do take it from your carbohydrates, you will extract 25 grams of carbs that's dedicated to alcohol. I would say, as a female, if you're going to do that, that you should take it from your fats, or at least a ratio, some of your carbs and some from your fats. Because if you overconsume, which I think a lot of women tend to be scared of carbs because maybe they're reserving it, thinking that it's okay to drink carbohydrates by way of alcohol. In fact, it would be better to take that appropriate ratio of carbs and fats. So take some of your alcohol from your fats in ways of grams. So again, you're drinking a 100-calorie drink, say a White Claw, I would say, probably taking 6 grams of fat and 13 grams of carbohydrates, away is very appropriate. So depending on what your fats are at, and most females are probably getting in, if you're really in tune and you've had your macros set appropriately, either by a professional, or you know what you're doing, or you found a calculator that you know is ironclad and you got it figured out, then probably your fats aren't very high, especially if you're lifting weights. If your fats are like 65 and above, depending on your current body stat, of course, they're probably too high. So a lot of people are like, well, unless you're not working out, right? If you're very inactive, meaning you're just kind of casually walking, you're not quite back in the gym or lifting weights, then yeah, your fats might be a little bit more elevated and your carbs lower, because your body's not utilizing enough energy to really truly need that replenishment of your glycogen stores that come by way of carbohydrates, because you're strength training, you're moving, you're hustling, you're sweating, heart rate's up and down, right? So your body's like really is getting into that fat burning mode. So your fats may be higher if you are relatively inactive. But I also see a lot of women tend to eat 75, 80, 85, up to 100 grams of fat because they think it's better eating more fat than it is carbs. And then they struggle with why they can't lose weight, right? And then they tack on that alcohol. So then you can see this perfect storm of why potentially somebody's not losing weight, okay? So back to tracking your alcohol with your macros, taking the calories and doing the math based on carbohydrates or fats and or both, a ratio, and subtract from what your macros are set based on what you budget to be your alcohol consumption. So again, if you do have goals of reducing your body fat, then budget for your alcohol, right? Like if you know you're going to a friend's barbecue, or you're going out for an evening, or it's date night, you're going to have 2 glasses of wine. Great, budget for those 2 glasses of wine, and also budget that they're not pouring you 4 ounces. So be realistic to what's actually being poured. If you do get a mixed drink, you're at a restaurant, they're going to pour you a 4 ounce. They might short you a little bit, but they're going to pour you a standard pour, just like wine. Usually they offer you a 6 or a 9 ounce glass of wine. If you're getting a draft beer and you're like, oh, I want Coors Light or Busch Light or whatever kind of shitty beer. I don't love beer. I used to like it in college, but I don't drink beer, so I'm not privy to them. But some of the IPAs and obviously Hefeweizen and those stouts, they're going to be thicker and denser, so they're going to have a higher caloric intake. So be considerate of that. Chances are, if you are really being aware of what your macros are and trying to hit them as close as possible each day, you're either not drinking or you're being really mindful and you're going for a lower calorie alternative. Okay, so along those lines, you are still tracking, you're very hyper aware of what you consume. This is kind of the category where I fall in. I am very much aware of the foods that make me feel good. And so I don't really deviate from much. I don't go on benders of eating a bunch of pizza. I don't go on benders of eating a bunch of chocolate and ice cream anymore. My treat is if I decide to consume alcohol, that's going to be my treat. So if you're watching me on YouTube, I got my air quotes. So if I decide to drink alcohol, it's either going to be a seltzer or it's going to be like vodka with like a polar, a clear soda of some sort. So I don't have those heavy mixers. It's very rare I'll have a margarita or anything that's mixed that has a bunch of sugar in it, just because I don't like the sweet drinks. So that's my choice of consumption. And I'm not necessarily in a season where I'm trying to get to a certain body fat percentage. I'm just enjoying life. I am going to be 45 in a couple of months. Summer, I'm at the tail end of it. I still have 2 girls that aren't in school. Not that that has anything to do with my choices or an excuse for any reason. I'm certainly not using that as an excuse to go binge every night. However, my body composition goals aren't in that season of wanting to be so meticulous that everything matters on what I consume. So I make a choice. I'm going to enjoy a cocktail when I choose, and my food is not going to be compromised. So I'm always going to get my protein in. I'm going to be really mindful of super clean carbohydrates that I know suit my system. And I'm also going to be laser focused on my fat consumption. So I've been doing this for years, so I know exactly what in my wheelhouse that I can consume that's going to keep me on target. And I also know that if I go 2 or 3 drinks over for the week, that it's going to impact me. And that's a choice that I made. And that's when I get to reset or revisit those choices going into the next week or into the next month or whatever that headspace needs to be. Okay. So that's kind of where I'm at. Now, kind of a third tier to all of this is, you're still tracking and you're still kind of new to it. Maybe you don't drink much. So let's take it from that perspective. Not a big drinker, but you do enjoy going out on date night. You have it once a week or every other week. You've got a couple of activities with your girlfriends and you like to enjoy alcohol. But, when you're at home in the normal day-to-day routine, it's not a factor. You don't have it at home. You don't, it's not really in your kind of daily routine. My thought on that is if you are super focused on your nutrition during the day, during the week, you're hitting your workouts, you're being really diligent, and you go out on date night and you want to have a glass of wine or two, go out and have a glass of wine or two. The same goes, and that's been my perspective on nutrition as well. If you're going to go out to dinner and you've been excited about this date night and you're going to one of your favorite restaurants and they have the best steak in town, have the steak, have whatever comes to the side of it. Right? Yes, it's going to be high in calories. Yes, it's going to be extra fatty, but is it going to be delicious? Is the company going to be worth it? Is the experience going to be worth it? Absolutely. At least it should be, right? Like, don't justify going to eat something and just like, oh, well, I didn't make time for something, so I'm going to drive through and go get Chick-fil-A. Like, no. Like, I'm sure I know there's healthy options at Chick-fil-A. Like, if you had a gun to your head and you had to go to get fast food, there's plenty of options that are healthier. However, I'm not a proponent and I'm certainly not supportive of, hey, go out and go get fast food. I'm all for healthy convenience, like when you're in a pinch, but then it becomes routine. It becomes habitual to always look to, it's Friday night. The kids love Chick-fil-A. I'm going to get Chick-fil-A too because I don't want to make dinner for myself. So I'm going to get the grilled nuggets and blah, blah, whatever. It's fast food, right? Like it is not holistically prepared. So it's fast food. Take that in consideration, including all the shit ingredients that goes into even those grilled chicken nuggets. So take the alternative, cook at home, always have stuff on hand. Okay, back to date night. Or back to whatever the event might be. You go to a wedding or a high school reunion, like the experience should be what the priority is, right? Because you're not having this experience every single night or for multiple meals during the week. This is just one experience, one meal. So enjoy it. Don't let it take over your whole like preparation of your macro counting just for one night, one experience, right? Or even just you do order grilled chicken and a side of green beans and whatever deems what make you excited about sitting down and having that meal at your favorite restaurant because you're going to enjoy a glass of wine or two. Like, awesome. Then do that. And don't get caught up in feeling like you have to go and track it because you're craving that glass of wine, right? Like if you love the glass of wine that comes at this certain restaurant, drink the wine. Or if there's like this certain oak barreled whiskey that you like too, whatever it might be, enjoy it, right? Like don't compromise or don't sacrifice something that truly makes you enjoy an experience. Not that alcohol has to make it enjoyable, but I also get it. Like there's restaurants that I go to that I really look forward to a La Crema Chardonnay. It is. And I don't drink wine much anymore, but when I go to this certain restaurant, there's La Crema Chardonnay that I like to enjoy. And that's probably about the only place I have it. If I go to a really nice date night, I will look for a nice glass of red wine, but it's so rare. I'm not going to sit there and count it and ask what the specific ounces are poured and track it because that's not where I'm at seasonally. However, take all of that into consideration at where you're at and just wanted to bring awareness to how you can effectively track alcohol in your macros. But again, caveat, it is not permission and it's definitely not validating that you should consume as much alcohol as possible or constantly and still expect to get results. Because again, alcohol can impact your sleep. And if you're not getting adequate sleep, then it's also hard for your body to effectively get into rest and recovery and do the work that needs to be done while you're sleeping, which women, you need to get at least 7 hours of sleep. And if you're not, you're getting robbed of that because you keep waking up, you are disrupted with sleep, you can't fall asleep, then that's going to be impacted. And that could be a result of alcohol consumption. It can impact your hormones. There's a whole host of things that could just downward spiral if it's overconsumed. And especially if you're very sensitive, if you know that you react pretty frequently, an inflammatory response to just about anything. The sky's blue, you blow up. You don't drink enough water, boom, you blow up. You drink too much water, boom, you're bloated. Like all of those things, a little bit too much salt, you're bloated, right? Alcohol has the same effect and can impact you and make you feel bloated. You can be carrying extra water weight, but also there's, alcohol belly, which is really prominent in men. That beer gut, kind of that extra body fat that is close to the heart that can be detrimental to your organs and just your quality of life. Obviously, you don't want to set yourself up for cardiac arrest, having, too much body fat that close to your heart, but just, kind of be mindful and logical about the whole experience and what your goal is out of this process. So again, if you are looking to fine tune your body composition, then it's necessary to truly reflect on your food consumption, your alcohol consumption, your sleep, your lifestyle choices in order to get there. And if you're compromising any of them just to go out and whoop it up, like maybe take a little bit of an inventory and whoop it up less, right? Like you could still whoop it up and have fun and go out with your girlfriends and not feel like you have to get inebriated, or just be the designated driver. That's always an alternative. You're still going to have just as much fun and find that, gosh, you know what? That was really a great experience because I remembered everything, or I didn't spend the money, or you know what? I slept amazing and that felt good. So I'm going to do it again and conserve those times for things that are super worth it, that you don't necessarily have to get caught up in tracking and doing the calories and because no matter what app you're using, I've been a big fan of First Form. I've moved all of my personal tracking and also brought my clients over to the First Form app, which there'll be a link in here if you guys want to connect with me on the First Form app as your coach and your advisor. The reason why I like it so much is because I can truly do nutrition assessments inside the app. MyFitnessPal, as a coach and nutritionist, I couldn't see other people's stuff unless they'd screenshot it to me or I uploaded it through another platform that I had to pay for, and then they had to make their thing public, and it was just a hassle. First Form is amazing, and I love all the video content that they have for the user to educate you on tracking alcohol macros, nutrition timing, stress eating, sleeplessness, hormones. I mean, they have so many videos that are amazing. And many of the stuff I cover in my nutrition course, but for $13 a month, you get a ton of stuff, plus get access to me. But even if you go and track it on whatever app you're using and you say, oh, I had one White Claw, it's not going to pull necessarily as you want it to. So that's where you have to manipulate it, whether you're going to pull straight from carbs or straight from fats or a combination of both. That's really where the sweet spot's going to be. And it's just a matter of playing around with it and what's going to work best and finding a solution that is seamless for you, that you can continue to see results without being held back because you're choosing alcohol over your results. All right. So I hope this was helpful. Please hit me up if this episode was informative to you. I would love it if you would share it with somebody. Pop in, write a review, let me know what you think, share on Instagram, or hey, pop into my inbox and let me know how you're doing. The link, if you want to check out First Form and you want to work with me inside that app, I will be there. There'll be a link right here. It's super easy and we'll be immediately connected and we can go from there. I do weekly assessments and I'll be also gearing up, which there'll be a link here, to take on 4 one-on-one clients as we go into September, back to school, kind of fall shred. I will be working with 4 private clients as kind of I simplify my business in the fall. So I really look forward to hanging out with you guys. Let me know if you have any questions, but thank you for listening. I truly appreciate you guys, and we'll be back to our regular 2 episodes a month in September. So if you got topics or interviews you guys want to hear, please let me know. I'd love to hear what you guys need so I can fulfill that, because I just appreciate you guys so much. And these are so fun to do, especially when I hear like, oh, I needed to hear that, or I felt like you were talking to me, or you read my mind. That's my goal. I want to be your mind reader. All right. Okay. You guys are awesome. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.